I privately interviewed a small group of creators, simply prompting them with their experience with perfectionism or things they wish were different within the community. These are the responses I gathered. Perfectionism is this funny thing, right? It can be the motivation for the most polished masterpieces that an artistic medium has ever seen, but it can also be a mental barrier from trying new things or even creating at all because a fun experiment isn't good enough for the mind's arbitrary quality minimum. There was a layout I started recently which is going to be a fun side project and wasn't even supposed to be decorated as a main account level, but after just an hour or two of creating, I decided to delete all of it and not continue because I didn't like where it was heading. If I just let myself keep going with that creation, it might have been very fun and I might have even decorated, and who knows, if I just let myself keep going, the level might have actually been good. I see a lot of people complain about the most menial things in level. Often it's gameplay, and for me it can be quite demoralizing to see even just a couple people complain about my stuff, even if it's just saying, learn to use J-blocks, or add indicators, as it fuels the doubting feelings about my stuff being not good enough. And I think it's needless to say that this feeling is not fun to have, and doesn't really house the greatest creative mindsets. Perfectionism has been one of my biggest enemies in creating for a long time. I very rarely got past the very initial stages of making a level, even down to stuff like background color, because it didn't feel good enough. I constantly have to remind myself that I just need to run with stuff and see where it takes me, and if I still don't like it, I can always go back and change it later on. For me personally, it's not something that I overcome once and I'm good to go, it's an ongoing battle that I'm slowly getting better at winning. As many creators start out, well, for me at least, I just wanted to make something cool to my favorite songs. In my free time I literally just listen to music, visualizing a possible level in my head, which leads me to open the editor and start creating, which is what I believe to be a reason people create. Listen to a song, get a cool idea, and execute. However, a struggle for me comes from having all these ideas, and yeah, I've only released one level in the last 3 years. That's because whenever I get to the editor to build my ideas, I give up. I can't reproduce what I had visualized. This has often led me to drop projects because I just can't get a certain part to be perfect. I can really only finish the level if I discipline myself, which takes the enjoyment out of creating and it upsets me. I'm unable to share some of the ideas I get because of my failure to execute. Back when I first started creating, I had no care in the world. I created what I wanted to without any focus on perfection, as long as I had fun doing so. But as time went on, I got my first creator points and I was slowly getting more recognition from friends and other players. But doing so changed my mindset to create for others' enjoyment rather than my own. This made me strive to make my levels the best they could be, but putting in a lot of effort usually tired me out and made me demotivated to create. I would spend hours building one part of my level, focusing on adding movements to almost every single object and fixing small details. In the end, it became too tiring to endure and I gradually stopped building. I wish the community didn't set standards for every level to be a masterpiece, because it personally ruins the fun in creating. A creator should be able to build without being expected to make something perfect. Perfectionism is awful in GD. I see so many of my creator friends get paranoid that their final level isn't the best that they can do, even though they're amazing. Personally, I've had my fair share with it. I've updated many of my levels multiple times because I can never believe what I've made is good enough. Honestly, I wish there were lower expectations of creators. Many people who don't even know the editor expect a level to be the best work ever made. Nothing has to be perfect, and releasing a level should never be stressful. It should feel great. While now it isn't bad for me, in early mid-2022 is where I really struggled with perfectionism and motivation in general. Between September of 2021 and July of 2022, the only level I uploaded was a silly little rush level for Friendless's money laundering event. I started so many levels that I never finished and even deleted, which made a negative feedback loop of me starting levels, not liking what I made, deleting, and repeating the loop. Throughout this time, I'd been creating a level which I'd spent 11 months on. In the end, I was proud of for the most part. If I spent more time, the level definitely would have been much better, but after 11 months, I called it quits. I was extremely ambitious, and at this point in time, I just couldn't do it as well as I thought I could. Lately, I've been spending less time on levels and trying not to repeat this, but sometimes I've fallen into the same cycle. As with the community, I think this is where most of my problems with my own levels being good enough stem from. Unlike in most communities, the Geometry Dash community has extremely high standards. This has become more of a problem as of late, mainly due to the overload of insanely good levels. Now, people are very quick to label a level as good or bad. Categorizing levels like this is extremely binary and, like most things, completely subjective. So with that in mind, I often spend a lot of time in my levels contemplating what would make the most amount of people like my work, even if it's not what I want to do. This mindset of creating for others and not myself has really, in my opinion, brought down some of my levels. While most of the time I enjoy the final product I've made, this mindset has made me lose interest or motivation a level many times. The struggle I have with creating is that it feels like I have to make everything I do of the highest quality, without ever building something I want to make for fun. I feel like if I make something that isn't of the same quality, I'll get hated for it because of the fact I didn't make it to the same quality as my other levels. If you're a popular creator, there's a lot more pressure on them compared to other creators like myself, but I feel that same pressure even with the number of creator points I have. I feel like I have to be perfect about everything I do, or else I'll get beaten up for it by the community because of it not being good enough for them. I just wish that the community treated us creators better because the mental health of creators needs to be more recognized. People should be more supportive of the creators they see, regardless of what quality stuff they make, because even the littlest of hate can overshadow hundreds of loving and supportive comments for them. No matter how you look at a level, instead of hating, you should just show support to the creator because no one is perfect. Whitespace may be a good level, but even that has its imperfections. Perfectionism to me is a tough topic. Every player/creator has flaws. You will never upload a level and everyone will love it. There will be people who prefer other levels and it's completely normal. Having the ideology of everything you create or play has to be perfect is not a healthy mindset to follow through with. Learning lessons is best through mistakes. Mistakes are your key to success. I personally used to have this perfectionist mindset where everything I touch in the editor has to be perfect. But I've realized that making a level that someone likes is well more than enough to make me happy. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you're going into creating, have fun. You build the best when you have fun, and don't feel peer pressured into making a good level or fitting a standard. Having fun is the key to creating. I'll immediately make my intentions clear. I'm a huge fan of imperfection. As a musician, I found great joy in poorly mixed music, and I realized that may seem contradictory at first. Bad music equals good music? What? No, but humans are inherently imperfect. Embracing that more often than not leads to creative breakthroughs as you can set aside standards for character. GT creators like Taboo2711, I'm so sorry, that's definitely not correct, shine through among others because of this concept. They manage to thoroughly represent an idea or feeling with lots of imperfection. So let's run back that whole equation I mentioned a moment ago. Bad music does not in fact equal good music, but rather bad music equals human music. Despite having amazing qualities, more highly produced projects often lead to a sense of almost artificialness. As many art students are taught, keep it stupid simple. I think a bit of perfectionism is good if you actually want to improve your creating skills. There were many times where I'd build a whole part, then completely delete it because it didn't look as good. It did get pretty demotivating, but it also helped me improve my creating skills. I do get back the motivation I lost when I get positive feedback though. It's kind of like you're investing in motivation. I've been building for quite some time, and my thoughts on what a perfect level is has a lot more standards now. It's a bit hard to release a full level nowadays since I want to make something up to my standards, but I don't have enough motivation. I think the standards of a perfect level has risen up for everyone throughout 2.1, which makes building a good level often more difficult and needs much more patience than before. It all really depends on how motivated you are to build and learn. I mostly had a good time building, so trying to be perfect isn't too bad, it just drains your motivation. Perfectionism is something I try to express a lot in levels, specifically everything I imagine in a level, whether from scratch or listening to a song. It's both a blessing and a curse to me when it comes to creating. One moment I'll be going on a building spree for hours, otherwise I'll be taking a hiatus from building said level for up to weeks as I struggle for ideas and originality. What really will have me in shackles most of the time though is how I plan to execute my visions. Going through trial and error is fine for me, but I can only be motivated to so much to the point where I have to let myself cool off from building entirely. Of course, it's just a personal experience of mine, but I feel creators would feel so much more satisfied in creating something with genuine passion rather than forced intent. Whether that applies to standards of the rating system, standards of the community, or standards of your highest expectations. Personality expressed through levels is a charm that is totally unique to individual creators only, and we need more of that. To be honest, I don't worry about perfectionism with what I'm building. I like leaving things under-decorated as long as I'm not missing any opportunities. When I struggle with perfectionism is when I feel like I'm misstepping with a part in a series that maybe loses the vision I originally had when I started the level, or disappoints people. Perfectionism for me and my channel is reduced to just satisfying myself and my audience. If I end a level or series on a good note and maybe had some risk payoff, I'd say it's perfect for me. Maybe not for other people, but I only care about my own sense of perfectionism. As for things I wish could be different in the community, I wish less standards were followed. Levels that deviate from typical structures and the amount of decoration, more and less, are a lot more interesting to me, but can get turned down pretty easily for not fitting in. I think to myself, why don't you like the fact that this person tried something new? I know I'll occasionally judge whether a level is good, but I think I view levels at different angles that can be inclusive with simpler and more abstract styles, which just help creators stress less about what they finish and release. So, what now? What's the takeaway? Well, it's up to you. This could just be a documentary on the mental health of creators, a way to boost your ego by claiming to have not dealt with perfectionism, or nothing at all. It all falls upon what you believe. I've been Waf, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.